Hello and welcome to the special edition of The Top Story. I'm Qi Zhi. In today's program, we look at Chinese President Xi Jinping's tour of Southeast Asia, where he's in Cambodia, the final stop of his three-nation tour in the region. We explored implications and significance of the president's visit for strengthening bilateral ties and enhancing broader China-ASEAN relations. Chinese President Xi Jinping arrived in Phnom Penh on Thursday after wrapping up his visit to Malaysia. The day's itinerary included meetings with Cambodian King Norodom Sihamoni, Cambodian People's Party President and Senate President Hun Sen, and Prime Minister Hun Manet. In a written speech upon his arrival, President Xi hailed bilateral ties as an example for new international relations. He said the two countries achieved that by working together as a community with a shared future and with cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative. President Xi said bilateral ties have weathered the changing international landscape and remain rock solid. He stressed that China regards Cambodia as a priority in its neighborhood diplomacy and looks forward to jointly deepening cooperation and strategic coordination. In a signed article before his arrival, President Xi called for efforts to promote the steady development of a China-Cambodia community with a shared future in the new era. The Chinese president met a warm welcome at Phnom Penh International Airport. Cambodian Princess Jane Norodom presented him with a jasmine flower wreath and extended greetings in Chinese.
I feel really honored. I never would expect to have this opportunity, and so I'm really grateful. Of course, I really admire him, and I'm really happy to focus on our Cambodian and China friendship, which is going to even make our Cambodian and China friendship even closer as his presence for this trip. 欢迎你来到柬埔寨.
For more reactions from Cambodia, we go to Tan Bo in Phnom Penh.
This is President Xi Jinping's second visit to Cambodia in 9 years. And one day before President Xi Jinping's arrival, that the Cambodian Prime Minister released a welcoming video online saying that he's looking forward to discussing with President Xi Jinping and charting a course of action for the future development of the bilateral cooperations. And in his speech, Manet called the China-Cambodia bond the strongest, comparing it to iron regarding the partnership in various fields between the two countries. And that's echoed with the Central Conference of China's Neighborhood Diplomacy, which noted that the relationships between China and its neighboring countries, including Cambodia, of course, is right now in its best period of the modern times, and the relationships have entered the stage of interconnections between regional cooperation and the evolving global landscape. Last year, the trade volume between the two countries increased 13% to over $15 billion. And experts say that China is already Cambodia's largest trading partner and, of course, a very important source of foreign direct investment. So this time, the state visit is expected to reach new agreements in the areas of trade, infrastructure, and education, of course, people-to-people exchange.
That was Tan Bo reporting. To get more insights into the China-Cambodia relationship, Pandan spoke to Chu Qian, a fellow from the Belt and Road Research Center at Minzu University of China.
Talking about expectations towards outcomes of this highly anticipated state visit, maybe we can get some crucial signals from President Xi Jinping's signed article published on Cambodian media ahead of his arrival. In that article, he actually raised 5 proposals to enhance bilateral ties. Bearing that in mind, Professor Chu, what do you make of the first proposal to deepen high-level political mutual trust?
Well, I think China and Cambodia's mutual friendship and mutual trust has already been at a very high level. That's the reason why we call each other ironclad friend. Actually, the two civilizations has been knowing each other for more than 2,000 years. And ever since that, we have no war, we have no conflicts, we have only communication exchanges and cooperations. And we have to understand, ever since New China has been established and ever since this bilateral relationship has been founded back in the 1958, the older generation generation of the leaders from both sides actually really trust each other. And we have achieved many miracles and achieved many high-level cooperations. But here today, we're welcoming a very, very different world right now. Just take a look at the backdrop internationally. I think our leaders has mentioned it very clearly. This is an unprecedented, challenging era we have never seen in centuries. So how these two nations marching towards hand in hand and shoulder by shoulder should face this challenge together in this new turbulent era. Politically, higher trust, higher level of the mutual dialogue and cooperation is a must. Not only what we need to do right now, this is what we have to do right now. I still remember Huntington used to say during his book of the Clash of the Civilizations, in the future, probably we're going to have some segregated internationalization featuring what we call the civilization zones, which means the country with very similar civilizations and mutual understanding will bond together more closer with each other. And that's the reason why I think we're expecting this high-level, meetings in the international governance through the APEC, through the ASEAN plus China mechanism, through the BRICS working mechanism, and also the extended Shanghai Organization working mechanism. I think China and, Cambodia will provide, much more support and commitment as well as for leadership towards this turbulent world and make a commitment to further certainty and stability to the world. It's going to be eventually a great news for not only both of our country, but also for the whole region as well for the rest of the world.
Professor Chu, let me follow up on your earlier notion regarding to Samuel Huntington's clash of civilizations. Do you think actually members of the East Asian and Southeast Asian community are now aiming to go beyond that because civilizations don't need to clash with each other to reach another level of existence, right? Because China has been advocating dialogues among civilizations, and this is also echoed by many leaders in the region. For example, President Xi Jinping just finished a very successful state visit to Malaysia, and the Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has also been advocating dialogue and common values among civilizations and different cultures. Tell us more about your thoughts on this.
Civilization is probably our most important issue, always mentioned by President Xi Jinping. Well, we don't want the clash. As a matter of fact, actually, China never had a clash with other civilization. In our philosophy, we always adore diversity and unity, and respect each other of their each own beauty. This is our philosophy. That's the reason why I think between China and ASEAN nations, for thousands of years, we always lived together prosperously and peacefully. China never waged a colonial war against ASEAN nations. Even in the past, 3,000 years, China probably is a very large power against, compared to the ASEAN nations. But we'll never get the colony in there. We always do trade, culture, civilization exchanges. We never send even one, missionaries to go to the ASEAN nation to spread any kind of religions, but only have the education exchanges with each other. Remember, this happened in the span of 3,000 years. Never a clash. Of course, we stay away in the very far east of the whole world. We stay always away from the trouble centers in the Middle East, in the Middle Europe, or in the Near East. This is our thing, to be peaceful and coexist with each other. So I think that's the reason why China, as the first one, have been proposing one strong idea. That is to build the human community with a shared future. To build the human community with a shared future between China, Vietnam, China, Malaysia, China, and Cambodia, even though we have very different, maybe face, maybe language, maybe color skin, whatever you mention, but we still manage to respect and, communicate with each other. We, for example, as Malaysia, we just visited very different religions and a very different culture, but still for thousands of years in the Malaysian peninsula and also in China, our people talk to each other and trade with each other with no obstacle. Same idea with Cambodia. Cambodia believes in a Hinamaya, while in China we have the Mahamaya. Very differently, but there's no religious conflicts at all. But instead, those monks from two sides actually been talking to each other, switched the transcript for thousands of years, try to preserve the history. For example, when Cambodia used to fall into the war, like 1,000 years ago, their historic record has all been lost in the warfare. But in China, we actually kept all the historic record in the customs of Cambodia, written in Yuan dynasty, in Kublai Khan's period of time. And that kind of the record actually has been moving back to Cambodia to show them what happened in the history, and they really cherish that, and vice versa. Cambodia also recorded lots of Chinese trade data, Chinese trade cultures, and also the Buddhian cultures, and it given back to China.
That was Chu Qiang from the Belt and Road Research Center at Minzu University of China, sharing his insight on the China-Cambodia ties. The Cambodia Haikou Commercial Center has been deeply involved in trade between China and Cambodia. Project manager Liu Pan has witnessed the rapid development of bilateral cooperation in recent years. He says such cooperation has a profound impact on the two countries' economic and social development.
China has been Cambodia's largest source of investment and trading partner for 13 consecutive years, yielding fruitful cooperation results. As a member of the Cambodia Business Center, I have had the privilege to participate in and witness the progress of these projects firsthand, experiencing the vitality and potential of China-Cambodia cooperation. Looking ahead, I firmly believe that this partnership will continue to grow and deepen, creating more opportunities and achievements across various fields. China's strong support and institutional advantages have played a key role in promoting mutual benefit and win-win cooperation between our countries. China actively advances the Belt and Road Initiative, which aligns closely with Cambodia's pentagonal strategy. This cooperation drives industrial development and generates numerous job opportunities. Additionally, China offers many trade preferential policies to Cambodia, including a zero-tariff policy covering about 8,960 tariff items for 43 countries, Cambodia among them. This policy facilitates easier access for Cambodian agricultural products, handicrafts, and other goods to the Chinese market, boosting Cambodia's export trade and economic growth.
The Cambodia-China Friendship Medical Building in Phnom Penh is one of the most modern facilities in the Southeast Asian country. It offers traditional Chinese medicine treatments. Built with over $80 million of Chinese aid, the hospital stands as a symbol of deepening cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative. Sukina Alwalia reports.
In the heart of Phnom Penh, a new symbol of healthcare and friendship stands tall. The Cambodia-China Friendship Medical Building officially opened its doors in March 2022, marking a major milestone in both countries' partnership. It's now considered one of the most modern hospitals in Cambodia, with 400 beds, treatment services in more than 30 specialties, and some of the country's most advanced technology.
Our hospital reflects the culture of Cambodia. It's highly modernized. This symbolizes the friendship between China and Cambodia and provides good medical care for the Cambodian people.
This hospital was designed with both technology and sustainability in mind. It includes solar power systems, natural ventilation, and green infrastructure. They also offer traditional Chinese medicine remedies, and for local patients, it's the affordable care that matters the most.
Here, the doctors really look after the patients, and they don't think about money first. I'm able to pay in installments. That helps me.
Cambodia's Prime Minister calls this a milestone and an important development under the Belt and Road Initiative. From political partnership to personal healing, this hospital is so much more than just infrastructure. It's a living story of cooperation, compassion, and a shared future between China and Cambodia.
That is Sukina Alwalia with the story of a hospital symbolizing friendship between China and Cambodia. This is a special edition of The Top Story, where we focus on Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit in Southeast Asia. Villagers in southeastern Cambodia say their living standards have improved thanks to a Chinese agricultural pilot program launched nearly a decade ago. About 1,000 families in 2 villages in Kandal province continue to benefit from the China-Cambodia Poverty Reduction Project. Miles Rippich has more from Svei Ampia.
The project was implemented between 2017 and 2020 in the village of Svai Ampia and Chaitipur. China built new homes, repaired old ones, and provided a clean water supply, toilet, cattle shed, and cows to residents. Villagers were also taught how to cultivate vegetables, chilies, and tropical oyster mushroom.
Upon receiving this project, several families had creative ideas. Chinese experts taught them to grow in pots, but now they have started to expand it to grow in the ground, and they have started to plant other vegetables, such as winter melon, cucumber, and bitter melon on a large scale. So their livelihood has improved. But the challenge is the market, as the prices have dropped, so some farmers lost income. They sometimes give up and stop doing it.
Ngit's family is one of the few that still cultivate tropical oyster mushroom here.
My life before was very difficult. At the time, I didn't have a home yet, and I lived in a hut. After they introduced me to this project, my life changed and improved a lot. Before, I incurred debt for building a house, but now I'm able to pay them back after farming mushrooms. It's a lot better. These mushrooms will become my main business. But if there's anything else I can explore in business, I will also expand.
Ngit has taught other villagers how to grow oyster mushroom, empowering them to establish their own farms.
I plant mushrooms in 3 factories. These 2 factories have around 20,000 packages of mushrooms, and this one has around 7,000 packages of mushrooms. Also, I get to teach my neighbor and 2 sisters how to grow these mushrooms. Each of them plants about 7,000 packages of mushrooms in a factory now.
The single mother lives with her 2 children in a home built by the Poverty Reduction Project.
My mother saw me struggling to live in a hut, and she asked China to build this house for me. Without this support, I don't have the capacity to build my own house because I cannot earn anything. When I lived in a hut, it was very difficult. It sank when it rained.
5 years after it was put up, local communities continue to feel the positive impact of the China's Cambodia Poverty Reduction Project.
That is Mouse Ripich reporting. As China and Cambodia mark the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations, their bilateral ties continue to flourish through sports exchanges and infrastructure projects. Damien Jones has more.
At the heart of China-Cambodia collaboration stands the Moradok Techo National Stadium in Phnom Penh. Designed by Chinese architects and funded under the Belt and Road Initiative, the 60,000-seat venue was the centerpiece of the 2023 Southeast Asian Games, marking Cambodia's debut as a regional sports host. The site has been praised for blending Khmer cultural motifs with cutting-edge engineering and become a beacon of bilateral solidarity. Over the last 3 years, China's Sports Technical Assistance Program has helped usher in major changes. Nearly 300 Cambodian athletes and coaches honed their skills in 12 disciplines through training exchanges, while 16 Chinese coaches took their expertise to Phnom Penh. And in January 2025, Cambodia made its Asian Winter Games debut in Harbin with a 4-member snowboarding team. Grassroots exchanges are also deepening, and Keith Piseth, a Cambodian lecturer in Guangzhou, epitomizes this synergy. By day, he teaches Khmer to local students, and by night, he studies Southern Chinese martial arts.
Cambodia's Asian martial art is called Pounding of the Lion, which also uses lower stances. Nowadays, many Cambodians learn Chinese martial arts because it's part of the Southeast Asian Games. Winning medals brings pride to our country.
From Phnom Penh Sporting Cathedral to Harbin's snowy slopes, and from martial arts dojos to multilingual classrooms, this is the living tapestry of China-Cambodia friendship. And in sports, as in diplomacy, the strongest partnerships are built not only of steel and snow, but also of shared positions and secured dreams.
That is Damien Jones reporting. Cambodia is the last leg of the Chinese leaders' tour in Southeast Asia, which also included stops in Vietnam and Malaysia. The visits also carry significance in enhancing China-ASEAN ties. During his stop in Malaysia, the Chinese leader reaffirmed China's support for Malaysia's role as ASEAN chair. He said China wishes to sign the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area Upgrade Protocol soon. Zhao Yanfei has more on China-ASEAN ties.
President Xi has expressed his strong support for ASEAN unity and development. The Chinese president's state visit to Malaysia has not just boosted bilateral ties between the two countries, but also President Xi said that he hopes that Malaysia can play a key role as a bridge between China and ASEAN countries.
As chair, it's really an honor for us to have the President Xi to come to visit us, and we can carry that message for the rest of ASEAN. But the key moving forward is that we need to talk more, we need to work together more.
The dialogue between China and ASEAN has lasted for over 3 decades, leading to more than $900 billion in bilateral trade last year. The upgraded protocol for the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area 3.0 is expected to be signed within this year. But the Asian family is facing challenges amid the blow of tariffs.
Even though Trump has actually said that he's putting on like a 90-day hold on tariffing many of 60 over countries in the world, that doesn't mean that the tariffs are gone. The tariffs could still be there. So I think ASEAN needs to mitigate this risk by actually talking very closely to China.
Southeast Asia is the Chinese president's first overseas destination of the year, highlighting China's commitment to fostering an amicable, secure, and prosperous neighborhood.
That was Zhao Yunfei reporting. The trade between China and ASEAN exceeded $900 billion in the year 2023. That is more than the trade volume between China and the United States, and more than that of the European Union and the United States. How has China-ASEAN relations evolved in the past 3 decades, and where will this partnership go in the coming years and decades? To get a more detailed look at China-ASEAN cooperation, Wang Guan had an opportunity to sit down with Secretary General of ASEAN, Dr. Cao Kim-horn.
Your Excellency, Dr. Cao, nearly all of your speeches describing China-ASEAN friendship and fraternity, you use 2 words, substantive and dynamic. I suppose you put a lot of thought into those 2 words.
Well, if we look at the actual work that has been carried out in more than 3 decades, the growth, development and transformation of the relationships, cooperation and partnership have indicated that there is a strong momentum, there's a strong dynamism, and there's a lot of substance in the way both sides have been working together over those decades. So that's why I think these 2 words would capture the essence of the relationship between ASEAN and China.
In a speech, China-ASEAN Futures Relations Forum, you said there are 64 existing mechanisms between China and ASEAN, the most among ASEAN and its partners. Is that true?
That is a correct number. 64 mechanisms of cooperation between ASEAN and China cut across the 3 pillars of ASEAN community and the ASEAN connectivity. So very wide range. If you look at overall, among the 11 dialogue partners, ASEAN China has the most number of mechanisms.
So looking from the outside, there are so many different descriptions and narratives from the West, from our partners across the world on the nature of China-ASEAN cooperation. How would you describe the nature of this relationship?
Well, I think we have to look at facts. I think facts speak for themselves. Number one, there are many levels of cooperations across the different sectors and pillars of the community. And second, the depth of cooperation. So that's where you can see more engagement, more interactions between both sides. At the end of the day is what we do together. I think that's important.
You know, President Xi described the China-ASEAN relationship as the most successful and the most dynamic when it comes to cooperations across Asia-Pacific.
Well, I think it's correct. Trade alone already speaks for itself. It means that we have been trading together very heavily, cut across all commodities and in different areas in economic cooperation. Second, look at investment. Of course, investment, China has been number 2 consistently over so many years. Again, investment is important for ASEAN because it helps create jobs for the people. And third, look at, of course, also the area of tourism cooperation. This is part of people-to-people cooperation. So we've seen a lot of Chinese tourists over so many years. And at the same time, we look at connectivity in terms of air-to-air connectivity in terms of rail connectivity, port-to-port connectivity, people-to-people connectivity. All of this, I think, will demonstrate where the commitment lies between us and China.
That was ASEAN Secretary-General Cao Kim-hoan on China-ASEAN relations. And with that, we end this special edition of The Top Story, where we focused on Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit in Southeast Asia. I'm Qi Zhi. Thank you for listening.